The other day, I was at a coffee shop. I overheard a child ask her mom something that struck me. Picture this, a young daughter talking to her mom with genuine confusion and worry. She said, "Why don't I have a mental health disorder? All my friends do. Sasha has trauma, Lucy has depression, and Audrey has anxiety. So what do I have?" This wasn't an adult dealing with life struggles. This was a child, a 12 or 13-year-old, feeling left out not because of a game she wasn't invited to, but because she didn't have a mental health disorder. This is a snapshot of a much larger conversation happening around us today, one that has spiraled out of control. Mental health conditions have reportedly doubled. There's a high rise in increase. These home students from the House of Parliament have reported a complete double the rate of mental health concerns since 2016. This shows that awareness efforts have led to students feeling worried, stressed, and essentially leading them to feel worried. I would like to present in this speech a hypothesis that may seem paradoxical. This hypothesis is called the prevalence inflation hypothesis. This suggests that awareness efforts has essentially led to overinterpretation. This means when students take in these ideas and thoughts and completely transform them into their reality. For example, avoiding situations that may seem anxious to them has essentially led to them having an anxiety disorder. This leads to the self-fulfilling prophecy. Avoiding more and more issues has led them to diagnosably have an anxiety disorder. And these reported rates of mental health concerns have led to an increased rate of mental health problems, and then fueling the cyclical nature of increased awareness efforts. Mental health is very different to mental illness. Mental health refers to our emotional and daily well-being, while mental illness refers to the diagnosable conditions that people need. Take, for example, social media. Social media is the biggest platform for awareness. TikTok has, how many of you in the room have TikTok? I'm sure most of you do. The hashtag trauma on TikTok has over 3 million posts, and the hashtag trauma on Instagram has over 6.2. These posts, under these posts, show basic everyday struggles and life tasks described as traumatic. Take this video, for example. This man from @TikTok Counseling defines his trauma test. He states, "Are you hurting?" Followed by, "If you are, you have trauma." But let's pause here. Trauma, as defined by the APA, is the emotional and life-threatening situation that affects you. Comparing the stress of that to a maths test waters down the word's true meaning completely. And when we use words like trauma and anxiety so loosely, we risk creating a society where these words have no meaning. Isn't this stressful? Look at this. This is how schools deliver this message to students. They don't focus on how it affects their students' lives. Instead, they focus on statistics that constantly emphasize how common mental health disorders are. They don't tell you how they affect you. I've lived in 2 megacities. As a kid in Mumbai, I used to fake physical injuries to get attention. Sprained ankles or crushes seemed like the kind of things to stop others and show concern. However, when I moved to London and more Western media was introduced into my life, the focus shifted completely from physical injuries to mental health concerns. It was as though when people were showing signs of anxiety or depression, it stopped others to be like, "Hey, what's going on? Let's talk about this." And this is where students get the idea that having a mental health disorder completely changes and alters the fact that you need support. And this constantly emphasizes and creates a cyclical nature of overinterpretation. And these attention lead to further students believing that they need it to belong. So are we truly reducing stigma, or are we making mental health more relatable than they should be? Thank you.